What's up YouTube? This is Brian from Bull Strength coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about how to ramp up to a 1 rep max. Alright, before we get into it, first I'm just going to summarize the percentages and rest intervals used in our ramp ups, and if you need a more detailed explanation, stick around after the summary. Testing out a 1 rep max is a great way to see where you're at in terms of strength, but it's not a very good idea to do it if you're not confident with your form. If you can't train the lift for high volume without it causing you pain, then you need someone to take a look at your technique and help you clean it up. Also, maxing out isn't something you should do too often, as it is extremely taxing to your central nervous system, can cause adrenal fatigue, and if done too often can easily lead to injury. Probably the most important reason for finding your 1 rep max is for determining percentages for programming. EXRX's 1RM calculator is a great site for breaking your max down by percentages, so you can find the exact weight to use in your programming. Link will be in the description. Now, everyone has their own way of warming up for 1 rep maxes, so this is by no means the best method out there, but it's something that works for me very consistently. If you feel like you are consistently missing 1RM attempts, it could be because you didn't warm up properly. Try out this method next time and see if it helps. Now, before we go on, it has to be said that 1 rep maxes are for compound lifts only, okay? So deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, power clean, snatch, whatever. It's only for compound multi-joint movements. In other words, do not 1 rep max on a single joint exercise due to the massive amount of stress that you're going to be putting on that joint. So this method that I'm going to show you, it's pretty much only going to work if you have already established a 1 rep max, although I'll show you a way that you can do it if you don't know your 1 rep max. But the routine that I'm about to show you is specifically for testing out a new 1 rep max. So in other words, you already have an established max and you're trying to beat that number. Now before you start ramping up with weight, ensure that you are properly warmed up with a good dynamic stretch routine. You can find mine up here if you need a little guidance. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through how to ramp up to a 1 rep max, including rest intervals, as I attempt an actual new 1 rep max on my overhead press. Alright, so we want to use a very conservative approach to ramping up. By practicing the lift with lighter weights, you're warming up your neuromuscular system along with your muscles and joints. We just want to go easy on the amount of effort we're using so we don't completely zap out our glycogen stores prior to getting to our max. Now, depending on where you're at, this could take 30 minutes, could take 40 minutes, could take 50 minutes to get all the way up to your max weight if you're using these rest intervals correctly. Alright, now to actually figure out what weights we're going to be using in our ramp up sets. All we're going to do is go to that EXRX site that I mentioned earlier, plug in your 1 rep max and break out all the percentages. And if you don't know your 1 rep max, you could use EXRX as a sort of a predictor, although this is never going to be completely accurate. Just be sure to always underestimate yourself and round down on any odd numbers that you might get. Now we want to keep the volume very low on the way up. Like I said, we don't want to blow out your glycogen stores while you're trying to warm up. Just take your time and trust the process. Okay, so now we are on the EXRX website. I'm just going to plug in my overhead press 1 rep max, which is 230 pounds. And now we have all of the percentages that we are going to need to ramp up. Now the first set is going to be very light. It's going to be between 20 and 30%. Which is obviously off the charts for this calculator, so pretty much all you're going to do is take whatever it says for 50% and cut that in half. And since we're shooting for 20 to 30%, you can choose to either round up or round down on this one. So on my first set, I'm going to be doing 55 pounds for one set of 8. As soon as I finish this set, I'm going to rest for 1 to 2 minutes. My next set of overhead press is going to be 50% at 115 pounds. I'm going to do 1 set of 3. After this, we're going to rest for 2 minutes. Set number 3, 60%. We're going to hit 135 pounds for a double. And after this one, we're going to do a 3-minute rest. And set number 4 is going to be 70% at 160 pounds. And from now on, we're just doing singles. After this set, we're going to have another 3-minute rest. Set number 5 is going to be 80%, which is about 185 pounds for me. We're going to hit that for a single and then rest for another 3 minutes. And the next set, set 6, is going to be 90%, which is going to be 205 pounds for a single. Now, since we're getting into the weeds a little bit here, we want to rest for a little bit extra time just to give our central nervous system a little time to recover. So let's give it at least 5 minutes. Okay, and at this point, if you don't know your 1 rep max and you're kind of shooting for it, you're going to go straight for whatever your predicted 100% is on this next set. However, like I said, the point of this video is for testing out a new max. So we're going to talk about that. So set number 7 is going to be between 97 and 99%. We want to be almost at our old max, but not quite there. So for this one, I'm going to hit 225 pounds for a single. And after this lift, we want to rest for a little bit longer than the last one. So anywhere from 5 to even 15 minutes of rest. And the final set, the PR set, we're going to shoot for somewhere between 103 and 105%. Which today I have chosen 240 pounds for a single. Now after this last set, kind of review the bar speed. How did it feel? Have someone tell you how fast it was moving, or maybe review a recording of it. If the speed was good, then the RPE was relatively low. So you could technically throw on another 2 to 5% and go for another one. Personally, I would just be happy with setting 1 PR in 1 day. But if you're feeling overly ambitious, which is usually the case after getting pumped up after hitting a max, you could go for another one, just as long as the last one felt relatively easy at least. Whether you decide to go for a new PR after just setting one is up to you. Just make sure you're resting for another 5 to 15 minutes before attempting. Alright, that's pretty much it for the video. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget you can support me on Patreon to Subscribe Star. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out.